It's Phil Stacy, executive sports at the Salem News with Matt Williams and Nick Giannino. We are back for a summertime version of Bandied About, our Salem News slash Gloucester Times sports podcast. It is October, Jesus. It is August 4th,
That's right.
2026. And it's been a while since we've done one of these, probably the end of the high school sports season. So we figured we would check in here, middle of summer. See what's going on. Boys, how have you been?
Good. Enjoying the summer?
Good. Nick, you just got back from a little vacation. What have you been doing?
Yeah. Just went down to the wife's beach house in Connecticut. It's relaxing, got some beach time in and trying to play as much golf as I can in between writing stories and whatnot. So, yeah, it's been a good summer so far.
What's your best round of the summer and where was it?
Um, I shot an 80 at the Ledges in Maine. Had a chance to break 80, but couldn't do it.
And
Last
what is
couple.
it? Par 70,
Par
72?
72. So, yeah, eight over par.
Wow, it's pretty good.
I'm swinging them all right now. I usually I'll take a low 80 round. So if I can break 80, that's beautiful. But haven't done that in a few years. But I've got 7 or 8 rounds in this summer so far, so pretty good.
You got a handicap this year?
Yeah, I'm trying. It's right out of 10 right now.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. All right, we'll get back to some golf later on, but
Yeah.
Willie, I know your summer's filled with a lot of coaching. How's that been going?
We're not very good. So, what are you gonna do?
Anything
It's
else you're
not about the
doing?
winning, I guess.
It's not about the winning. Yeah, it's about the experiences you have.
Nobody's going to the World Series here, so
No, no.
just see what happens.
Anything else you're doing to pass the time when you have free time, which I know is not much, but when you do have it,
Uh,
anything?
yeah, just trying to stay busy, just trying to stay busy. See what's going on the sports scene and see what's going on other scenes and go from there. Just trying to stay busy. Stay, get busy living or get busy dying, as they say.
Have either of you been to see our Red Hot Red Sox this summer?
I've
No.
been twice. I went early in the year when they were not playing well,
Mm-hmm.
and then I went not this past Friday, but the Friday before that against Toronto. They won 6-4, which was a good game.
Oh,
Right
nice.
after there was the game after the win streak ended.
Oh, okay.
So, which was actually okay with me because I didn't want that pressure to be in the stadium when they're going for the record there. But yeah, it was fun. The atmosphere was great. One of the best Red Sox games I've been to in terms of the crowd. And they have people with the shirts off waving them around, and it was fun. Packed house.
And you haven't, Willie, at all.
No, I had a chance once, but you'll be shocked to learn that I had to work that day. So,
Yeah, yeah, I know the feeling. Um, Been just once when they were still bad. In fact, they lost to Toronto. I think they got shut out, if I remember right. 2-0, 3-0 in late June, but they've certainly turned it around. And what free time I have, not with my family, I've been going to a few concerts this summer. So I've been to a couple of good shows, which I enjoy very much. And that's a good time. So,
Any at
uh,
Fenway?
yeah, I was just at Fish the other night at Fenway. That was nice. Speaking of tarps, I mean, my tarp wasn't off, but I was down on the turf. Oh,
Yeah.
down on the floor, so that worked out nice. Um, and I went to one at Aganis Arena. Have you guys been there for hockey at all, or
Yeah.
maybe Willie some kids stuff or whatever? That was good. I'd never been to a concert there. That worked out well. And been to a couple over at the seaport there in South Boston. What's that? The Pavilion? What do
Oh
they call it?
yeah. I've never been there, but that looks like a pretty cool venue.
Oh, it's a great spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although one of the nights I was there was the night that it was a Wednesday, I know, and it was US was playing their first World Cup playoff game, the one they won, and that was hot. It was like 100 degrees during the day that day. That was the hottest day of the summer so far.
Yeah.
And thank God that show is by the water. You get a little bit of a breeze there, but yeah.
Oof.
So it's been a good summer as far as that goes. So. But no one wants to hear about the trials, tribulations, and good times by the Salem News slash Gloucester Times sports staff. They want to get their sports info. So let's dive into it. What's been happening this summer, guys? I guess the biggest thing we just found out yesterday is that Chris Vargas, the St. John's Prep junior to be quarterback, highly ranked nationally, five-star recruit if you go by those things, college recruiting services or whatever. I spoke with him maybe what, 3 weeks ago, 2, 3 weeks, yeah, 3 weeks ago, I guess. Maybe a little more, 3 weeks or so ago. He and the great receiver Riley Selvace to see where they're thinking about as far as college goes and all. He is now ready to make his college choice. Apparently, it's been made. He's going to announce it on Saturday. Not really any fanfare, not a big to-do, not a putting on the hat or anything like that. Just going to announce it. What do you guys think about that, especially in this ever-changing age of colleges? I mean, this will not be anything that is pen to paper official or anything like that. It'll just be like, I'm intending to go, X. So what do you guys think? Willie, let me start with you.
I don't. Neat. Like I don't, the kid's awesome. I like to watch him throw the football. Where he goes to throw the football in college, I'll think about that in 2029. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a fan of a big college football program. If I was, like, maybe I'd be kind of pumped. Like, he's not going to the University of Maine, so um, I don't, to me, like, it's cool. We know that he has offers from all the big teams. It's going to be a big team. I'm sure it's not going to be a nobody that he's trying to, single-handedly make a great team. And, if the coach that he commits to leaves, then he's going to probably decommit and go somewhere else or whatever. I mean, Johnny Thomas changed his commitment. Janelle Aguero just transferred. In this day and age, how many guys are in one place? Like, I don't know. So it's cool. It's like a great summer news post or whatever, but I'm certainly not going to put a lot of thought into it. I'm more concerned with what he's going to do against Zafiri and then which hat he's going to put on Saturday.
But it is
That's it for
newsworthy,
me.
obviously. I mean, this is the world we live in now that and we don't get this isn't an every year occurrence where we get a high profile player who has national attention on him going to a big school. In fact, we don't get it every other year, but we have had it before in the past. You mentioned Joanel Aguero. He was the most recent one, but
I
I
mean, the
think in
kid at
this
Xavier's
case,
going to Penn State, so and
yeah,
there's probably 8 kids going to BC at CM, so there's probably a dozen just in the Catholic Conference. Now, this kid is number one at a marquee position.
yeah. Where's the
Everybody
kid from
cares a lot more
Xaverian
about
going? Didn't he announce that he was going? Is he going to like UCLA or something?
Penn State, I believe it is.
Penn State. Okay.
So they're decent at the whole football thing. But obviously quarterback is a different, it's a much more attention
Right.
when you have a 5-star quarterback than a 5-star, offensive tackle,
Right.
or edge rusher or something. Obviously, again, like really looking forward to seeing him throw the football in September and October, but the college stuff and it's just a lot of pressure on these young people. So I don't want to pile on to that and be a part of that
Yeah.
either. But by all accounts, he handles the pressure really well. He's a, well-spoken kid, smart kid, et cetera, et cetera. But like as far as this, I mean, I've just seen this change so many times in every sport, with the coaching changes. I mean, the great catcher from Beverly, Bradley McCaffrey, changed his commitment a couple of times when coaches changed, and he's a
Yeah. That's
guy
right.
that's probably going to get drafted next year. So you just, the way college sports landscape is now, I mean, and especially before signing day. I mean, none of these things are official until signing day, and then even then,
Right.
with the transfer portal, the landscape has just changed so much.
Well, you
Um,
mentioned Penn State. I mean, a year ago, kids that were interested in Penn State now don't have a coaching staff that they've been working with there. Because didn't all those guys go to, was it Virginia Tech?
I couldn't, again, that as someone who's not a fan of college football really, and doesn't follow a team, like, again, like, if I was a huge Notre Dame fan,
Hmm.
went to Notre Dame, like, I'd be pretty pumped about that, but since I don't really follow a team anyway, it's just like, it's cool, but it's not something that, like, I'm gonna be, again, like, if you're an Ole Miss fan and Ole Miss lands this kid, yeah, you're gonna be jumping up and down and the message boards and the Twitter, congratulations and all this kind of stuff. But for me, who's not like a huge fan of the game, It doesn't register probably the same way. For college football fans, the South, the people that are really into this, like
Yep.
this is like the draft. This is like draft day for them. It's like whoever he chooses, it's like they're getting Drake May, for the Patriots. Like that's what it feels like to them.
Yeah.
Uh, for me, like growing up in the Northeast, not really having a team, not going to a big school, like just it's not really my bag, baby, as they say.
Yeah, I'm same boat. I agree with that, Willie. I don't watch too much college football. I watch the playoffs once it gets to that point, but I watch so much NFL. I watch so much other sports. I just can't add college football to the resume there. So I can't begin to tell you where he would go. I agree with you. I don't think he's going to shock the world and pull like an AJ DeBanza and go to BYU or something like that. Number one pick in the NBA draft. Of course, I'm comparing it to basketball, right? But yeah, I don't know. I think it's great that he's making the decision here before the season. Get it out of the way. That can be a distraction sometimes. People always
Well, and he's only going to his
where he's
junior
going to
year,
go,
so
where
he's
he's going
got
to
two
go.
more years of high school.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and that's the other thing. Like Willie said, if he could change his mind, nothing's set in stone. He's not putting the Sharpie to the paper. So we'll see. But yeah, I think it's great. I think it's really cool. It's like you said, Phil. It's not every day we have a high prospect like that, especially at the top position in the sport. So
Mm.
good for him. Yeah, it's great.
Willie, some other football news that you came out of from the recent Northeast 7-on-7, which I'll be going to the finals of tonight over at Bishop Fenwick. Of course, by the time you hear this, that'll be done and there'll be a champion crown. But you got some news out of there about a new PBD High quarterback. That sounds exciting.
Yeah, so Dominic Mercier, he was actually Vargas's backup for a year or two. So there you go. Segue there, Phil. Maybe a year. I'm not totally sure of the timeline on Dom. I know he spent at least one season at St. John's, and Chris may have been the eighth grader at that time. So technically not the backup. But anyway, they were in the same quarterback room, studied together, played together, all that kind of stuff. Clearly, I think. You can read the tea leaves when Vargas is in town. You know, took an opportunity to play at MC last year, and led them to two playoff wins, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
Nobody in the history of PUD High School has ever won two playoff games at quarterback except for Matt D'Amato. So there's a trivia question for you. He transfers home, doing the public school thing. Uh, you know, Not for football reasons, for school reasons, but as a result, you get a proven quarterback who's played in the Catholic Conference and won playoff games in Division Three, and pushed King Philip, who was one of the best five or six teams in the state, in the semifinals. I mean, Malden Catholic is not exactly a football powerhouse, and
No.
and to have them within a Hail Mary of potentially going to the Super Bowl, I mean, that's kind of like what Francisco Mendoza did for Indiana, right? A little bit, just in terms of the stature, right?
And
So,
he worked with the new Salem High coach, Brett Segala, who was the offensive coordinator at MC.
right, yeah, small world.
Yeah.
Small world. Everybody kind of coming home to the North Shore in that way. But obviously Dom, grew up playing PBD youth football. We had heard about him when he was in seventh grade, eighth grade. We did a couple stories on their youth teams, and these kids scatter, and you kind of lose track of them, and you wonder, oh, where'd that one go? Where'd this one go? How it is in Little League too. And so obviously he's very familiar with the top receiver, and so I think all of a sudden, like, you look at Peabody 2-9 last year, pretty bad. You're wondering if things have cratered out, if they're going to be in a hole for a little while, and but then you look under the hood, and they have I think five returning starters on the offensive line. You've got Mark Mendonca on the outside, who was a premier outside receiver last year with
Good athlete too. Good
60 something
overall athlete.
catches,
Yeah.
600 odd yards. I forget how many touchdowns, six or seven or something. And, they're wondering what they're going to be able to do with this guy if they don't have a premier quarterback. And then all of a sudden, this kid, comes back. And now all of a sudden, you've got the pieces of what could potentially be a pretty scary offense, because, Dom also runs the ball pretty well. He's a threat to run the ball, and so that's sort of it. I would kind of fashion his ability, um, along with like who was the kid from Marblehead last year? Was it Walls or Gallup? Which one was the younger one that was there last year?
Gallup was the senior.
Yeah, so the one that ran, the QB pull,
Well, you're thinking
doing,
2 years ago.
yeah.
2 years ago. So it was
Well,
Gallup.
the kid last year ran for 1 million yards against Masco. I remember that.
Yeah, that was
But
Gallup
anyway, so
and
so so the
Callahan was the running
mobility,
back.
um, the mobility is what could really be a game changer for them. And so the way I look at it too is just in terms of experience, right? You know, is there a more experienced quarterback in the Northeastern Conference? I mean, you could throw John Van Barda from Swampscott in that mix, but that's about it. I mean, because Beverly lost Danny Pierce, Masco lost Drew Gustafson. Nate Wise from Danvers is a really good quarterback, but they ask him to hand the ball off 40
Right.
times a game. Marblehead, I think, is going to have a new guy too. So all of a sudden, this kid walks in and he's like, potentially a game changer in the NEC. Not necessarily because Peabody will be so good, but also because everybody else lost so much, right?
Yeah, it's a pretty
That's sort
wide
of the
open league. I
landscape.
mean, I expect Marblehead to be good again. I think Danvers could surprise some people. Masco's probably not taking a big dive off the board, even if they lost that great senior class. And I know we talk so much about their skill players, but their line play was excellent, I thought, and really underrated. And Beverly, you don't know. Are these guys that are filling the shoes of the graduated guys ready to step up and kind of continue what Beverly built last year? So there are a ton of question marks in that upper half of the league this year.
Well, I think, and just to segue to the Northeast 7-on-7 that happens over at Fenwick, right? Peabody won the East Regional for the first time.
Yeah,
Had never won it before. Kind of really surprised some people. Beat Zavarian and the aforementioned Will Wood along the way in a great game. Beat Masconomet in the final in a great game. And then in the small division, the final was Danvers and Linfield. So two local teams there. And then as we're recording this on Tuesday afternoon, tonight is the New England Championships,
right.
which is 10 teams, four local teams, four teams that Phil just mentioned are competing. Now, Marblehead did not go to the East Regional that I attended, but they did play in the North Regional, and they made the Open Division final, so they get a wild card bid to New England's. So that's pretty cool to have four teams from the NEC all looking to reload and be a part of this New England championship tonight, which is fun. And again, we joke about the 7-on-7. We know it's not quote unquote real football. No linemen, no running game, but it's a lot of fun. And I think it's cool. I think it's great to see Peabody having success. I think for a team coming off a 2-win season, any success you have is going to help rebuild that culture and rebuild that confidence.
Yeah,
I think for
yeah.
Masco, a team that's building, trying to get two new quarterbacks ready, any kind of live rep experience is going to be huge. And even for Danvers, again, we joke about that smash mouth style that they run. I joke with Coach Nolan, oh, you're letting Coach Ibbotson actually call pass plays today. We're proving that he can do it. But with the skills that they have and with Nate Wise's experience, I mean, you're talking about Jack Houston, Zach Fultz, they actually have the ability to probably spread teams out and be multiple if they want to.
I wonder if
I
they'll put
think of
Fultz in a like Owen Gasanowski type role.
yeah, exactly. I think of that team that they had probably 8, 10 years ago now, and they couldn't run the ball against Gloucester. They ended up spreading it out. I think it was when Brendan something or other was the quarterback.
Brendan
Tracy maybe was
Tracy.
his name. He was tremendous on the bootlegs. I mean,
Yeah.
they really have the ability to be multiple and challenge people on offense if they want to. And obviously they're going to be able to smash the ball with Fultz at running back. So, and then obviously you can never write off Marblehead. They always seem to have skills guys come out of the woodwork, and they've been a quarterback factory over the last 15 years or so. So that's four teams right there that just are a lot of fun to watch, and it's cool to see the success and interesting. Just sort of segueing back to the prep that they don't really participate in any of this stuff because
Hmm.
I can't imagine a world in which you could 7-on-7 you could play 2-on-7, and I bet if you had Vargas and Selve they would win.
Well, maybe you need a third guy there, but yeah,
Somebody to snap the ball. Yeah, I guess you're right. So you'd have to go
yeah.
7-on-3. Yeah, you'd have to. He'd have to bring like Will Seha and let him snap the ball. That's true.
Nick, Dan O'Connor had a nice run in Gloucester, but he is no longer coaching. Tell us about the new Fisherman football coach for this coming season.
Yeah, Brian Anderson taking over. I think he's the right man for the job. Seems really excited about it. Dan O'Connor's actually going to stay on staff. You know, they're not going to change too much, I don't think, in terms of their offense. Obviously, they run that wing T, and they were in the 7-on-7. They actually won 3 games, 3 out of 5. I think they made the playoffs in the small division there, and ended up losing to Lynn Tech, I think it was. They also had a loss to Linfield, but they picked up 3 wins. I mean, pretty good sign for a team that really primarily runs the ball, 90% of the time. And in a 7-on-7 like that, you're going to be at a disadvantage, obviously, running that kind of offense. But Cole Mosley win, talented athlete. He's going to take over at quarterback for Cam Rotolosi. We'll see if they give him some more opportunities to throw. I think he does have a pretty good arm, but he ran the show for them in the 7-on-7s and apparently looked pretty good. Obviously, Gloucester's losing their top 3 rushes from last year. Severino, Thomas Cribbs, and Joe Allen. Or is Joe Allen coming back? He might be coming back for. No, I think they were all seniors. I'll have to double check that. But those are they ate up the bulk of the yardage last year, the bulk of the carries. So it's going to be a new look team, and but they're excited about it. I think the numbers are pretty decent, and Brian Anderson knows the system, knows the kids. He was there on staff, so. It should be an interesting season. They're coming off another successful year. What, 8 wins last year? Their most wins in maybe 6, 7 years,
Punctuated
pre-COVID.
with that Thanksgiving win over Danvers that they
The
hadn't
big
done in
Thanksgiving win over Dammers.
what,
That
six,
hadn't
7 years?
happened in a long time. So, yeah, we'll see. But there's definitely was a little more of a buzz with the football last year in Gloucester, and hopefully it stays that way and they can keep trending in the right direction.
I know we certainly didn't coordinate this, but depending on how, if someone's watching this, they can, I don't know how their screen is set up, but it's like I'm looking and we each have like red, white, and blue shirts. So that's
Oh, yeah, that's true.
just
Yeah.
that's a,
250.
yeah, well, there you
Yeah,
go. Like I
nice.
said, it wasn't planned, but speaking of changes, we do have some coaching changes, athletic director changes. Nick, let's stay with you, where Mark Santuccio, former assistant, takes over as the head coach of the Gloucester boys hockey program.
Yeah, another great hire. I think it's the right move. A guy that's been in the system, coaching with Derek Geary
Yep.
for the past decade. I think he's been there the whole time with Geary. I could be wrong about that, but I'm going to talk to him later this week. They just announced that hiring a few days ago. But when I spoke with Geary when he was stepping down, which wasn't an easy decision for him by any means, he was there for 10 years and he was
And he's staying on
excited
as
about
the tennis coach, the boys tennis coach.
staying on as the tennis coach. Yep. He works full time as a tennis pro at Bass Rock. So,
Right.
but nonetheless, he was one of the real reasons that made his decision a little bit easier was the fact that he knew there was some guys in house that could, carry this program and keep it going. And obviously, I'm sure he vouched for a guy like Mark to get that position. And sure enough, he did go for it, and they gave it to him. And like I said, I'm going to speak with him later this week. I'm not sure what his intentions are in terms of X's and O's and things like that. But it seems like he has a good rapport with the kids. He knows the program well. He's a Gloucester guy, and I think it was a great hire.
Another new coach in the Northeastern Conference boys hockey circle is just named yesterday, Monday, as we record this on Tuesday. Vinny Mirasolo in Beverly, a long-time Linfield and Melrose coach. He's won almost 300 games in 25 years at those schools. He's been out of the high school game for a few years, but ready to get back into it. Taking over a Beverly team that had its best season in a dozen years this past year, but graduates 13 players. So I don't know if you call it rebuilding or starting over at step one or whatnot. They do have the goalie Ty Chinalong back, so that's a start. Teddy Fisher on defense will be another senior. Um, you know, not a starter, but in a four-man defensive rotation. He was out there every other shift. So, um, Vinny brings a lot of experience and success. Coached your guy, Willie, former UMaine star Brian Flynn, right? Who had more than a cup of coffee in an NHL.
Yeah, he was at Linfield High for a minute. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We didn't he score when we saw the Bruins Canadians Winter Classic?
That's right. Yeah, that's accurate, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, he scored in that game at Gillette Stadium. So
Pretty good. Pretty good.
anyway, so some new coaches in hockey. We mentioned Brett Segala in Salem as the football coach there. Nick is new athletic director in Rockport. Speaking of Linfield.
Yep, John Parisi stepped down, retired, shall we say. And Mia Muzio is going to be taking over. She's a Rockport High graduate, was a phenomenal field hockey player during her day. She's held a couple different athletic director positions since graduating, one of which, or most recently at Linfield, for the past 4 years. She's coming home to Rockport. Spoke with her a few weeks back. She's super excited about it. Phil, I know we spoke. She's already been tweeting some stuff from the Rockport Athletic account, all positivity and
Yeah.
preaching that sort of stuff. She plans on really working with the club programs and the intramurals and stuff to add some stuff to that. So I think another great hire for Rockport, bringing in one of their own. She lives in the area. I think she still lives in Gloucester now. With her family. So it made sense for her. Seemed like the right move. I think she was surprised that the position was opening up. John is, I don't know, is he your age, Phil?
Yeah.
John is a
Yeah. We're the
little
same
bit
age.
younger, so he retired a little bit earlier, but did a great job there and knew Mia well. I'm sure he vouched for her. I believe that Mia had played field hockey or lacrosse under John's wife, Diane, at Rockport. So she knew the family.
Softball. Softball under
Softball, that's
John.
what it was,
Yeah.
softball. She played all three. So, talented athlete, seems like a really hard worker, going to be dedicated to the Rockport community in that school. So, again, good hire over there.
And I don't know if we mentioned that Hamilton Wenham also has a new athletic director and Adam Kramer. With Craig Genualdo going to Amesbury, the longtime HWAD, moving up to where up to Amesbury. That opened up a spot, and Adam Kramer, who has extensive college experience. He's only 33 years old, but he worked his way around colleges, but spent a lot of time at Northeastern. Was up at Austin Prep most recently, and now he is the athletic director at Hamilton Wenham. Um, and I can't remember if we talked about it on this podcast or not, but first order of business is finding a Thanksgiving football opponent with Ipswich, not fielding a football team this fall, but rather entering into a co-op with Triton for the next 2 years. Um,
Yes.
any other coaching changes that I'm
We
not
had
remembering
a
off the
new
top of my head?
girls soccer coach at Gloucester as well.
Okay.
That's a program that's for lack of a better term, struggled in recent years, gone through some coaching changes. They hired Dave Mitchell, who is a local guy, has a lot of experience. Again, haven't spoken with him yet. This was just announced a few days ago as well. But hopefully he can bring some good things to the program and get them trending in the right direction as well.
We should mention too that Angie Giancola, who is the volleyball coach at Salem High, has taken over as the school's interim athletic director since Riley Christie has gone to Malden Catholic. And again, Willie, are we missing any recent coaching changes that we know of?
Um,
Noteworthy or
I'm sure
whatnot?
there's quite a few. I mean, Peabody will have a new girls soccer coach. Essex Tech has a new girls soccer coach. That's just in season coming up here. There's quite a
Did
few
you have a
new
new
field.
field hockey coach too? I saw Jillian Tobin. See you right
Jill
there.
has gone to Amesbury. I was gonna say, I'm sure there's quite a few new field hockey coaches. That's a sport that seems to have turnover. Hard to find good field hockey people. If you get one, you really got to hold on tight, as they say,
Hmm.
because the real good ones don't grow on trees, which I guess is true of every sport these days. But nevertheless, cross country at Essex Tech is new as well too. Fenwick, I'm not totally sure. I'm just thinking out loud, but yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
there's usually always some noobs as it were.
Okay.
I wonder what's if Zach Lampkin will be coaching with Triton or if he's going to take the time off. Certainly,
Yeah, I
shout
wondered
out to
that.
his Ipswich Chiefs who have made the playoffs in the ITL for the first time in 23 years.
Is that what it
Yeah,
is?
crazy.
Not really sure how that happened. It was like a three-way tie, and I guess the defending champion Generals lost the tiebreaker or something. But
So what it was, Willie, was I had to talk to someone about this
This
because
is
I
the
was
Intertown
confused
League
too.
baseball, obviously.
Intertown Twilight League, yeah. So I think Hamilton had a forfeit on their roster, so they deducted a point.
oh,
So even though
okay,
they had the same record as those other teams, they
I
automatically
see.
had less points and they got bounced.
Oh,
So
so they
Yeah,
got
that's yeah,
screwed
all
by
right.
their
You
own,
can't
not
be
even their own doing, huh?
can't
yeah,
be
yeah.
forfeiting. Well, you got to find enough player. I mean, I deal with that in my rec league. You got to find enough players. You can't be
Yeah, I mean, and
forfeiting.
it
It's
happens.
really
Other teams had forfeits too. I
usually
know
you have to pay a
Beverly.
fine if you forfeit.
Yeah.
Because the umpires,
The umps,
when
right.
Still get
the
paid, right?
umpires get
Yeah,
real upset. They don't
yeah.
want to drive up
Yeah.
there for no game type of thing. But that's cool for Ipswich. I mean, honestly, like they've kind of been the punching bag of the ITL for a really long time. So to make the playoffs is pretty cool. I mean,
And
again,
Beverly
first
really struggled this year. I couldn't figure that one out. They usually get a pretty good program
the
over there,
Giants,
but
oh, they're awful. They probably haven't made the playoffs since Moses wore short pants, as they say.
yikes. Yeah,
Beverly
they
Recs
had
are
a tough
good in
go.
the
Yeah, the Recs are
NSBL.
good in the
Right,
North Shore League. The
right.
Giants are afterthoughts. No offense to the Giants, but somebody's got to be the Washington Generals of these different leagues.
Hey,
Yeah,
Willie,
yeah.
speaking of Beverly and baseball, what's the latest with the Beverly Salem post 331 Legion baseball team, state tournament?
So the seniors, which is like, mostly high school players, a couple guys that finished their freshman year of college. They won the District 8 championship. They made the state tournament, finished in the final six. So great showing, good summer for them. Certainly have expanded their footprint. I mean, 90% of the team was Peabody kids for whatever reason, but good for them. Very cool. The junior team, which has a few more Beverly and Salem kids, some Essex Tech kids, and a couple of Peabody kids. They are currently in the state tournament.
Oh,
So
nice.
the juniors, which is like kind of some varsity players, but they're younger. So usually like freshmen and sophomores, some kids that are playing JV ball, not because they're not good players, but because, they're in good programs like
Yeah,
Beverly, Peabody, St. John's Prep, for instance. There's a kid, that's I'm sure a great pitcher, but just hasn't made the varsity at St. John's yet.
yeah.
And so, the 17U is what it is, whereas the seniors is 19U. And so the juniors are also in the final six. They play today as we record this. Now, the interesting thing about the juniors is that Massachusetts gets to send two teams to the regionals. And so the regionals, Region 1, is up in New Hampshire this weekend. Everything has been delayed a day by Monday's rain. But so Beverly Salem only the juniors only have to win two more games to make the regionals because they don't have to win the championship. If they're the runners up, they make it through. So they're playing Lowell today as we wait here. Lowell, pretty good team, great history of Legion ball, but I would say shout out to both Mike Levine and Eddie Colbert for keeping this thing going.
Yeah.
Even if it is a million towns, who cares? To give kids the opportunity to play competitive baseball in the summer without having to pay $1 jillion, without having to drive down and stay in a hotel in Connecticut or Carolina or whatever else. That is absolutely invaluable. It is a tremendous service that these guys are doing for these ball players, and I think and hope that it will pay dividends on the field in the spring next year for Beverly and for Salem and hopefully for Peabody as well too. And Essex Tech and all the teams that have kids taking part. You talk about coaching changes. A quick segue: Salem will have a new baseball coach next year. Matt Hubauer has stepped down. Pingree will have a new baseball coach next year as well. Luke Wimbolt stepped down to he's doing a master's program and has three young kids, so just kind of can't make all that travel on the knapsack level work with his family. But he had a tremendous career and record at Pingree, so that's a great landing spot for for anybody who happens to go there. So Won't be big news probably until the spring of 27, but geez, it's a coaching change that I forgot about, Phil, until I just started talking about Beverly and Salem, with Mike and Eddie's work.
I want to mention too, some really good summer for local amateur baseball and softball. Softball, we had what, the PBD 10s and 12 softballs both go to the state tournament, state finals, or the round of finals there. They both had really good showings. Danvers, Babe Ruth, 13s and 14s both played in the state title game this year. And of course, our friends in Little League had a good season. Nick, I want to talk to you about the Gloucester team, but Willie, talk first about Boxford. Not only wins their first ever District 15 Williamsport Championship, but makes the state final. I saw some games before I was on vacation, then you kind of took over and watched the games from there. What did you make from this team?
Oh, it's just cool to see, right? I mean, it's not too often you get to do the first time, right? I mean, the last time we had a first time winner in District 15 was 12 years ago, and it was Hamilton Wenham, and we've seen them have great success ever since. So hopefully, Boxford can kind of keep this going. I mean, I think we've all said to ourselves over the years, like, geez, Masco's like really good at baseball, right? So like, how come it doesn't translate at the little league level? And maybe they need to combine or whatever. And Middleton made the Final Four last year.
Right.
Boxford making two and now finally winning one, and maybe Middleton will crack through next year or whatever. So just to have little towns break through, because it's hard when you're going up against the Beverleys and the Danvers. These are big cities with one team and more kids and all that kind of stuff. So just a really fundamentally sound team that was really well developed over the past few years. I mean, they obviously had a stud in Jake DeLeo on the
Yeah.
mound, but he's not like a giant like some of these other kids that you see.
No, but he's a good
They
ball player. He
didn't
can
have like
very
great
smooth, good hitter.
size. Yeah, they were just really well. They were a contact hitting team, great defensive team. Really well schooled, really smart ball players, and it's cool. It's cool to see the work that can be done when a bunch of people come together and they cleaned up the park and they got a lot of energy going in town and all that kind of stuff. So, now it's obviously on the next generation of parents and volunteers to kind of keep it going, and if they can do that, that would be really cool because it's just neat. It's neat. It's neat. You don't have to win every year, but it's neat to be able to compete. I mean, to think that 3 or 4 years ago they didn't even bother putting a team in, because they got killed so bad and it just wasn't worth it. And now to win the thing is quite the turnaround. And I mean, it's got to be an inspiration for some of these other little towns out there. Whether you're talking about, Ipswich or in District 16. East Lynn. I know they made the Final Four this year, did a great job, but any of these little pun there, but any of the smaller ones that have never won, it just goes to show you that it's possible, right? Anything is
Yeah.
possible, as KG says.
Great,
So it was cool to watch. It was really cool to watch.
great final too. 1-0 over Beverly for the district title. I thought Beverly kind of punched above its weight class a little bit. Um, had a good run to the finals and
Well, Beverly was great too. I mean, Beverly made the state finals as 11s, and I think
yeah,
that really benefited. I think in the sectionals, it really benefited Boxford that they had played the toughest teams. They played tougher teams than Linfield did. They played tougher teams than the other teams that were in that sectional. The Bill Rickas and I think the other one was Reading, maybe. And because again, Beverly had won the 11-year-old championship last year. Danvers Nats were a great team, great program, and Boxford had so many kids playing up last year to the 12s, because they don't have as many kids. They didn't have an 11-year-old team, right? They
right.
didn't get that experience of going to the 11-year-old state finals like Beverly did. But I think playing Beverly twice was one of the big reasons that Boxford had the success that it did. I think it was like an iron sharpens iron situation. That really benefited them greatly.
Nick, I mentioned Gloucester. 8 of the 12 players were 11 years old. I think many people didn't think they'd win a game in the tournament. Instead, they make the Final Four with a great little run. Can you talk about the Fishermen?
Well, yeah, you said it. I mean, they went in with tempered expectations, I think, with 8 11-year-olds on the roster, which I thought everyone contributed. You know, they went undefeated in pool play. It looked like they might actually have a shot
No,
to.
lost to Beverly the last game of pool
That's
play.
right. They did
Yeah.
lose one, so 3-1 in pool play. Still atop the pool, I believe, and got into that Final Four. So that was an accomplishment in itself, right? Shout out to those kids. I think the future obviously is bright. All those kids should be coming back, other than the 4 12-year-olds that they did have. So yeah, not much else to say other than they proved a lot of people wrong.
All right, Nick, I'm going to give you 3 minutes and I'm going to time you on golf. So run through that and tell us what's been going on this summer. Start with Aiden Emmerich.
Yeah, Aiden Emmerich. Wow. I mean, that's a kid that has been, making waves on the North Shore golf scene for years now. He just graduated college, I believe, a couple of years ago, and he goes out and
Swampscott plays out of Kernwood Country Club in
Greenwood
Salem.
Country Club, Swampscott guy, has a brother, Christian, that's also very talented. They both had a lot of success on the amateur mass golf circuit in recent years, but nothing like this. To win the mass amateur, it's a grind of a tournament. You got to go through stroke play just to, 2 days of stroke play just to qualify for the match play. Then there's 64 players in the match play. You got to go through each round. It's a lot of golf to squeeze into 5 days. 6 days, whatever it is, and he went all the way and he dominated. I mean, some of those matches towards the end were not even close. He was putting guys away with 3, 4, 5 holes left. So really cool for him to take home the Massachusetts Amateur title. That's a quite the honor. It's the top amateur tournament that the state has to offer. They've hosted it around here at local clubs in recent years. It wasn't local this year, but he's the first guy, according to Gary Larrabee, since Stephen Delisio from the North Shore to bring home a mass amateur title. I think Nick McLaughlin was another one that did it 10, 11 years ago. But really cool stuff for him. That's a kid that I think, has aspirations of someday going pro, which is a pretty good segue to a guy that's inching closer and closer to getting that elusive PGA Tour card, and Chris Francoeur.
Corn Ferry, baby.
Yeah, so St. John's Prep graduate. He's from Amesbury. He went on to play at both University of Rhode Island and Louisville. Then he's been bouncing around between different minor league, so to speak, golf circuits. He was on the PGA Tour Canada. Then the PGA Tour Canada merged, and they ended up calling it the PGA Tour of Americas. So he did that. Where there is some prize money involved. It's a pretty legit circuit, but the ultimate goal is to get to the Corn Ferry because that's the feeder right into the PGA. And Chris made his Corn Ferry Tour debut this year. Those are televised events, big prize money. I think this most recent tournament had $1 million purse, and Chris was in the hunt. He's now 27 years old, still going for it. I imagine he has some sort of full-time job in the off season. I'm not sure. I haven't spoke with him in a couple of years, but still grinding, trying to get that tour card. He shot a 59, which doesn't happen often. I think it was the 16th time it's ever happened on the Corn Ferry. Put himself in the lead after 2 days in the most recent Corn Ferry tournament. Ended up finishing in a tie for ninth. He had a chance on the final day. He strung together 4 birdies in a row on the back nine to get back within one. And had he gotten a birdie on the 18th hole, he would have been in a six-player playoff to try and win the whole thing. Ended up bogeying the 18th, and he finished in a tie for ninth, 2 shots back. But nonetheless, that was a big one for him. Probably his career highlight in terms of his professional golf career. He moved up from I think 120th to 90th in the point standings, which are big because the top 60 automatically get to come back to the Corn Ferry next year. Top 20 automatically get their PGA Tour card for next year.
All
So
right.
he's still got a chance if he can, get into some top 10 finishes down the stretch. I think they have 4 or 5, maybe 6 tournaments left this season. That was by far his best finish. And yeah, if he can string together, some more top 10 finishes, top five, if he wins one, he'll jolt way up there. I think if I tried to do the math, if he had won this tournament, he would have moved up into like the top 35, top 30, putting him real close to that top 20 eventually get his PGA Tour card. So awesome stuff for Chris. He's always been a really good golfer and super talented kid. He could play with any of those guys on tour. He's as talented, as any of them. Well, maybe not, the Scotty Schefflers and the Rorys of the world, but he could play on tour. It's just about getting your big break and maybe winning one of these tournaments or finishing, like I said, stringing together some top tens. So we'll see how he closes out the year, but good stuff for Chris.
You went 86 seconds over, but it was all good stuff, so
All
we'll let
right.
it go. And it was Terry Manning, I remembered from the when we were talking beforehand, who won
North
that North
Shore
Shore
Amateur.
Amateur.
Yeah.
Young guy from Ipswich
Yeah,
who
he's only
went
19.
to
He
St.
was
John's Prep, right?
St. John's Prep. He was our
Yeah.
player of the year a few years back at St. John's Prep for the Salem News Player of the Year. So, um, cool story because he was really close with Bob Flynn over there at Far Corner. The late Bob Flynn, and I think in Hector Longo's story, he had told Bob that he was going to win this thing one day. I think he's been competing in it since he was 13.
Oh,
So,
nice.
6 years later, he gets it done. Pretty
And
cool.
normally that tournament isn't even held until like mid-August, but they moved it up this
They
year.
moved it up this year. Yeah. And it ended up being a 1 day tournament because the first day was a wash with the rain.
Right, 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 right.
No, but he broke par, which, that's not an easy course. So impressive round.
Okay. Let's do a blind rankings and get out of here. Blind rankings, of course, I give you guys a topic, five choices. You rank them 1 to 5 in terms of what you like, a probability or whatnot. We're going to circle back to the beginning here. We said Chris Vargas is going to be making his college decision. I'm going to give you guys 5 schools that are among his finalists, not all of them, but some of his finalists. And you rank them in terms of where you feel like he's most likely to go to least likely to go. Okay. So let me put here Nick, and we'll put Willie, and we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So school number 1, will Chris Vargas go to this school? Or what order will he go in? Would be the Ohio State Buckeyes. Willie, what do you got for there?
Uh, uh, throw him number one, I guess. From what I remember, Ohio State's quarterback doesn't run, and Chris doesn't run. Now, maybe he can run and doesn't in high school because it doesn't make sense, or he doesn't have to because Mac's parents so good or whatever. But I think that system seems to fit him, and they got a lot of money and they're in the national championship every year, and Ryan Day's a pretty good coach. I can't remember the last quarterback they sent to the NFL.
CJ Stroud,
Um,
right?
Stroud.
yeah, so he looked good as a rookie and then kind of not so much lately. So it's a funny thing with quarterbacks, right? The best ones come from sometimes completely random places like
Yeah.
North Carolina,
Wyoming
and
or
you
whatever,
know
right?
Delaware if you're a Joe Flacco fan or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'll put Ohio State number one. That
Okay.
seems to be the perfect storm.
I,
All right.
I I'm with Willie. I think that's number one. Where they run that spread offense. As far as I know, he can sling that thing, and I think it'd be a good fit.
All right. University of Miami.
The U.
Yeah, you got the weather, you got the tradition, you got the offense, allows
Yeah,
them
and
to
they
throw the
seem to be
ball
on the
well.
up, putting more and more money into that program.
Yep.
I'll put them right in the middle at number three. I think that he couldn't go wrong going there.
Okay. William.
I'll go four. I know they've been better in recent years, but it just doesn't seem to be his vibe. Uh, he seems a little more low key, that doesn't seem to be his vibe. So I'll say four.
Okay. Let's go across the country to the University of Oregon, the Mighty Ducks, always in a national title hunt. They also love to throw the ball. They have different uniform colors every week if you're into the Riz and whatnot. The Ducks of Oregon, gentlemen.
From what you said when you spoke with him, and I know he probably didn't give too much away, but it seemed like Oregon was high on his list, at least one of the first schools that he mentioned. Um, and like you said, they throw the ball a lot as well. Obviously, good, good program, great history. I'll put it two.
Okay.
I could see him in green.
Among other colors, yeah.
Yeah.
Willie?
I'll go five. Usually they run a lot out there. Dual threat, Herbert and the guy before him. So I'll go five. That doesn't seem
Okay.
like a natural fit, and it seems like he'd want to be closer to home. Again, total speculation.
Okay. Let's stay on the coast. How about the University of Southern California? We think of that, traditionally as a running back school, but we certainly have had a share of pro quarterbacks out of there from, Sam Leinart to Pat Hayden and da 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 da. So, what do we think about the Trojans from University of Southern California?
Yeah, I only got 4 and 5 left. I'll put him five.
Okay.
No particular reason. Again, this is all speculation. Who the
Yeah.
hell knows where
Okay.
he's going to go? But that's out there. Maybe he wants a complete change of scenery, but throw him at five.
Okay. Willie, you get 2 and 3 left.
I'll go two just as a dark horse, just for funsies. I think, program with a lot of history, program with a lot of money, the chance to kind of re-resurrect them into the national conversation, like
Hmm?
that's pretty cool. That would be pretty cool.
And when was the last time they had a name quarterback?
The ability to talk to a guy like Carson Palmer about, imagine you go from learning about the quarterback position from Brian St. Pierre to Carson Palmer. What could be better than that? So
Pretty good.
I'll go two as a dark horse. As a dark horse, I'll go
Okay.
two.
Okay. And the last choice here, we're coming back home, is Boston College. Bill O'Brien, the coach, he's worked the program, he's worked all over college, Penn State head coach, worked with Alabama, Nick Saban. He worked with Tom Brady when he was with the Patriots. He's a St. John's Prep grad. He's been around the school watching Chris forever. He would love to haul in Chris. I guess that would be 4 for you, Nick, and 3 for you, Willie, based on what you guys have left. Just any thoughts on Chris Vargas becoming a double eagle, prep in BC?
And I'm sure they're making a good push for him, a good pitch, and obviously a lot of connections. Stay local, obviously that's a program that Brian's trying to build back up, or Bill, I should say. But I probably would have put it at 4 or 5, so that seems right.
All right, Willie, I mean, this is a school that could potentially throw an awful lot of money, maybe the majority of its NIL money at him if they wanted to really bring in a national recruit like this, and that may bring in
Yeah.
more guys. Is
Is it
that
though? I mean, is
realistic?
there is the majority of theirs worth even a fraction of Ohio's? I'd have to look it up, although
I don't
theirs
know.
probably isn't public because it's a private school. But yeah, I think three's a good spot, right? Because it would be a great story, and so I would root for it a little bit, but I don't see it happening. And even if it does happen, I think the schools in the SEC aren't going to take it seriously. They're going to be on this kid. There's no rules about this stuff, so if he has a soft commitment to BC, I don't think that's going to stop Alabama from knocking on his door for the next 2 years, the way
Mm,
college football works. So
yeah.
it would be a really cool story, though. It would be a really cool story, and again, to be pro ready. Bill O'Brien's worked with the best, right? Tom Brady and down in Houston took them to some playoffs when he was
Yep.
head coach.
Yeah.
With Deshaun Watson was at his best when he was with Bill. So certainly knows the pro game and can get this kid ready not only for for college success but for success on Sundays. And there's something to be said for you go to Ohio State, unless you beat Michigan and win the national title both, you're a pariah. You go to
Yeah.
BC, you win the CarQuest Bowl, you're a hero. So you're kind of grading on a curve there a little bit.
You know
Um,
what? Really good point. And
but
I get
Chris
the
is a pretty
sense,
driven kid, so I kind of think he wants that natty. But hey, you know what? BC produced Matt Ryan, and he's got an NFL MVP on his resume as well. So
and to be honest with you, like, yeah, of course, he'd love to win a national title, but I think just my own impressions is that he's looking who can help him to get to playing on Sundays.
sure.
What coaching staff and what team is going to give him the resources that will allow his game to flourish enough that somebody wants to draft him a high pick, let's say, and that he plays in the NFL, so
And that's an interesting thing because what is the most important thing to that? Is it coaching? Is it scheme? Is it networking connections? Is it having five-star receivers to throw to? Is it having a good running game and a good skill? Like what, you could bounce off the walls. We could blind rank those things. What is the most important thing to getting to Sunday? And
Yeah.
I mean, predicting who the Sunday quarterbacks is going to be is like impossible, right? How many fantasy teams have drafted, these guys that end up not being so hot? Mac Jones, had everything and is a backup now. Sam Darnold was left for dead and is a Super Bowl champion now. I mean, quarterback is like the hardest thing to predict, in the universe, like except for maybe starting pitching. So it's really, really fascinating, this whole quarterback thing.
All right, just to go over it, Nick went Ohio State, Oregon, Miami, BC, and USC. Willie also went Ohio State, Southern California second, Boston College third, Miami, and the University of Oregon fifth. All right, quite a long podcast today. We had to lot to wrap up this, well, a lot to talk about this summer. We'll probably do another one before summer's over. But thanks for tuning in. We always appreciate it. For Nick Giannino and Matt Williams, I'm Phil Stacy. Thanks for tuning in to Bandied About. Don't forget to read your local newspaper, either in print and or online, and follow us on social media.